Hey guys, how's it going? It's your boy M.K.S. back here with another video, another topic. I hope you're well wherever you are around the world. And welcome to part three of Happy Independence Day for India. I know technically this is a day late. I think in India it's probably also a day late. In fact, I think they're 4 or 5 hours ahead of where I live in the UK. I don't like to give my address away, but I live in the UK somewhere. So anyway, I hope people out there enjoy this video, and please share it with any people connected to India that you know of. I know I do try and keep these intros a bit shorter, and I say that every video. But anyway, I think that covers everything for the intro, and I hope you enjoy this video. I do worry that sometimes I make too many videos because I have so many ideas in my mind. I did want to cover so many topics, like how to help Town football to be world class, how to help Celtic to be world class, and so many other things, my writings and stuff like that. But I did want to get so many of them done in August, as it's like my birth month. I wanted to be ultra productive, but I do want to get the balance right between like not overwhelming people. But I suppose if you don't want to get too many notifications, you could not have the bell notification icon on if you wanted to. But anyway, I'm going to try and crack on with my ideas. So as I say, this is part 3. So here goes. Number 21. I would love for people to find out about the history of India, any facts and information, stats, and general info and that kind of thing about India, and if you'd be kind enough to share it in the comments, that'd be great. Also any videos, as I mentioned before, like any visual information, Google searches or anything about India and Indian businesses, companies, corporations, organizations, associations, charities, NGOs, projects or anything else, any Indian YouTubers, social media or content creators, anything like that, please post them in the comment section so we can all find out about them, whoever watches these videos, and hopefully support their channels or projects or whatnot, respectively. Another thing is, I would love to find out what people from the diaspora could do to help India. As I say, 21 again, so I'm recapping some of my ideas. Obviously, I'm not going to recap all of them in one go, but in one point. But I would love for India to have an international right to be able to collect, let's say, to put it simply, I think that's the simplest way of putting it, as a form of reparations, to be able to collect tax money, tax receipts, or tax money, basically, again, to put it simply, from all the possible people from the diaspora, NRIs, non-resident Indians, including mixed race ones like my own background. I suppose a person who grew up in the UK of an Indian background might well say, they might well say, look, I'm from the UK and I'm born and bred in the UK. So although my roots are in India, I don't have any connection to India, they might well say. So they might say, growing up in the UK, I have rights in the UK and healthcare and education. So they might want to put at least half of their tax money into the nation they live in and they're from, or were born in, or live in, or whatever. So they might not want to put it all into India, let's say, or give it all to India, but maybe they could give half, or even or at least a quarter or 10%, or some of them might want to give it all and say that it's only right for the fact that India was colonized. But I think that would be a great right for India to have, and I think it would be a fair right. But as ever, I would love to read what you think about that point, and each point I raise, which ones you don't like, which ones you do like, which ones you're indifferent to, and just anything else you want to comment in the comment section. So please feel free to comment whatever you want, whether you agree with me or disagree with me or anything else in between. Number 22, excuse me, again, what the diaspora and others around the world, allies and that kind of thing, can contribute to India, and how they can help India to reach its full potential and have as much money as possible, as many trillions as possible, and that kind of thing. And as ever, as I often say, I'd love to encourage to promote Italian football and Celtic all around the world, including in India and across Asia. I also hope, as I say, that India will be part of many networks. Obviously, they're already part of the BRICS. I'd love for them to have like a Chindian network where they work between China and India and use disputed territories which divide them and used to divide them and still do divide them. Instead, to turn them around into like what used to divide them could actually now make them come together, so they could say in the future, what used to divide us now brings us together. So a Chindian partnership using like divided areas, in the Himalayas, I believe it is, for instance. So instead of fighting over those areas, they can use them to meet up, network, have like counter-terror drills and train together and play sports together and network together in business and other areas and discuss ideas about how to benefit their economies and bring them together, as well as possibly Asia generally. But I love for disputed territories across Asia to be used to actually bring people together and see what India can achieve in the future and other Asian nations. And number 23, I'd love to find ways to, as well as supporting charities and NGOs specifically and the poor in India, I'd love also to benefit people from the poorest, from the very poorest to the very richest, as well as I often keep mentioning, as an animal lover myself, someone who tries to love all living things as much as possible, especially those who are decent. I would love to see them like have animal rights, animal conservation, compassion for animals and also for people and that kind of thing, support for disabled people, disadvantaged people, the poorest possible people, Dalits and whatnot. So I'd love for charities and NGOs as well around the world, including in India, but also all around the world, to support Indian charities as much as possible and support the poor and help, again, those with disabilities, physical, mental, or learning disabilities. I know some might call them learning differences, but yeah, supporting compassion, sympathy, empathy, peace, love, and all those positive things. Also, I nearly forgot to say, what I was initially going to say was I would love to find ways to encourage investors, whether that's banks, sovereign wealth funds, hedge funds, private equity funds, personal investors, individual investors, investment funds, investment portfolios, or anyone who invests, any individual or organisation who invests to invest in India. I'd love them to have many events, both on and offline, and in the country itself and around the world, possibly including on Zoom, where they meet up with investors, even if it's virtually on Zoom or whatever, and have as many investors as possible. I think you can have up to 100 people on Zoom, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, if anyone knows any information about Zoom or any other platforms they could use, please let me know again in the comments, and let me and other viewers and viewers as well, so I know. But yeah, how to what investors look for. If any potential investors stumble across this video, I'd love for them to say what sort of things they would like to see, like what sort of things would make them want to invest in India, or maybe even people to discuss what's good about investing in India. And people from India, I think, should talk about what is good about investing in the nation. I also hope they'll invest in other Asian nations as well as Africa, and also that other Asian nations and African nations and Latin American nations will support their businesses and companies and invest in India and things like that, and look at the case for investing in India and supporting India and that kind of thing. Number 24, I'd love for, as I say, the nation to be as united as possible. Number 25, I'd love for them to work with other republics and for other nations around the world also to support their Republic Day, to invest in the nation and donate to the nation, support their products at least 2 days of the year, their Independence Day and their Republic Day as well. And again, for them to work with republics. Number 26, I would love for anti-imperialists to support India. One of the main reasons I wish to support them is because they had arguably, I don't know, I've got to be careful what I say. I know it's history, that things were done differently back then, as I mentioned on Facebook, and I wanted to make these a bit different, but my Facebook and YouTube equivalents. But one of the reasons why I wish to support India, the main reason is because they had arguably, I think it was 45 trillion apparently, although some argue there wasn't even that much money in the world back then, but they had $45 trillion of wealth looted or stolen from the nation, as well as many human rights violations by the UK back in the day. And I think it would be good to make up for that fact. Again, I know it's history, but some might say should move on, but I think it would be important to sort of rectify those historical injustices. So I hope people from around the world, especially anti-imperialists, will support them. And that kind of thing. Number 27, I hope they will, as ever, I hope they'll acknowledge and honour those people who have contributed to the nation, including those who might have united the nation, those who helped tackle poverty, those who helped them to unite with other Asian nations, those who support businesses, those who support young people, animals, disabled people, or whatever other groups, or basically anyone who's contributed to the nation in some way. again, like it's Unity or whatever. Also, as a reward for me supporting them, again, I hope they'll support Italian football and Celtic as much as possible, to say thanks for me to support them. For me supporting them, hopefully, which I hope these videos will benefit India. So I hope they'll thank me back by investing in, I hope Indian businesses, Indian individuals, I was going to say charities and NGOs, but maybe not so much. But maybe charities could work, or charities and NGOs could work with Celtics Foundation, for instance, Italian football foundations, and that kind of thing, to help poorer people get into football, for instance, or to donate footballs to people in Italy and in India, respectively, and find ways to create that diplomacy, but also support poorer people to get into football, or have opportunities, or have education, or things like that. So I suppose there is that, but I love for, as I say, Indians, and especially Indian businesses, corporations, companies, whatever the difference is between them, enterprises, basically, those who invest, those who work on businesses, and I suppose most businesses do invest, speculate to accumulate, I think is the term. But also the Indian government itself, and whatnot, politicians and councillors to invest in Italian football and have partnerships, again, to have diplomacy with Italian football and Celtic as well. I know Celtic's not a country, but maybe Celtic countries as well, and also Celtic FC specifically. I hope they'll build those bridges, and I'll say, as a reward to me, I hope they'll support those things, and invest in and follow and support Italian football as well, and Celtic, I'll say. Number 28, I hope they'll be able to turn some of their negative situations like poverty and things like that into positives, and turn them around and basically help to tackle poverty and help all members of their society be as united and prosperous as possible and have the best quality of life as possible. Again, I'd love to see Asia be more united generally, but I hope, as I say, they can turn negative situations into positives, which I always love to do if I can. Number 29, I think I forgot to mention point number 27 as well. I knew there was something, but I would love for my fellow Anglo-Indians and other Eurasians to support nations like Malaysia, India, Indonesia and Singapore, because of the fact that they looked after us historically, and show that we give back to nations that support us. Hopefully that will encourage India and others to support us in the future, knowing that we give back and reward those who help us as a united community of Eurasians, not just Anglo-Indians, but Eurasians generally as well, including obviously Anglo-Indians. And number 30, I probably shouldn't say this, being more professional, but I'd love for Indians to get laid, and maybe 30 rhymes with dirty, but not very professional for me. But dare I say, I think maybe I should have saved this for the adult version. But to be honest, a secret or a private or top secret thing, or maybe not so much. And I hope I haven't jinxed this at the 13th minute. I think also it'd be good if they got reparations, like got to screw British chicks, British bitches. But anyway, sorry, not very professional for me, I know. But anywho, that probably alienated a few people. But yeah, that'd be a good form of reparations, like especially if they got it free. But also, from nations like Malaysia, India, Indonesia, and Singapore, getting to a different type of reparations. But that wasn't the most professional of me, I know. But I thought I'd include it anyway, being honest. But anyway, overall, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I know I do often worry a bit if people enjoy my maybe I should save that for like the adult version, but or the adult version. But I hope I didn't ruin the rest of the ideas. But anyway, I am out. Peace and love.